Now, when it comes to public speaking, here are the challenges that you might be dealing with when it comes to speaking. You take the time to practice, but sometimes maybe you feel like a robot, or maybe it's the build up before 10 minutes before even though you practice so much, you still have that speaking anxiety, right? Maybe it is the day before, maybe it's the day of, you can't think of anything else except, oh, I need to do this presentation, I have to speak. Especially when it comes to that 10 minutes, it's like, oh man, it's building up. You don't know what you're doing, you're not breathing, your body's doing all this stuff that you don't know how to react to, right? You could also be dealing with, right? You're not new at presenting, but something happened. A lot of my clients come to me because they have this moment and they said to me, Kit, I've been doing 1,000 presentations. I've been doing presentations to executives, to all these people, but for some reason, maybe they had this moment and now they can't speak with confidence, or maybe they haven't been doing presentations often and they feel like they're new at it again. So most likely, if you're on this webinar right now, presenting is probably not brand spanking new to you. You've done them before. Now it's, okay, how do you really step up your game? Or maybe you're confident in other areas of life, but speaking, public speaking in general. Okay, you can be confident in one-on-one, you can be confident in group situations, but I know some people, when it comes to public speaking situations, they just go into this other mindset and they become nervous. A lot of people say, yeah, Kit, one-on-one, I can kill it. I can go on the phone, whatever it is, I'm strong. But when it comes to speaking, even on Zoom, you're talking to maybe 20 people, 50 people. It's like, oh, you get into this situation again. So the one question I want to answer today is really, how does one go from terrified to terrific as a speaker? And here are some of the things of what you're going to be learning, what you'll need to work on to go from terrified to terrific as a speaker, how to avoid the biggest presentation mistake that people are making, and strategies to help you ease your speaking anxiety and speak like a pro. But before we dive into the content, this is a very important thing I want us to keep on the top of our minds. It's always reasons before results. Now, if you are watching this live right now or even on a replay, can I ask you to type this into the comment, or you can write this in your notes if you're taking notes right now. Why do you want to become a better speaker? What are your reasons before you start doing all these things to get your results? Too often, as I'm speaking now, drop it into the comments. Too often, I heard this in, I think, a podcast, or maybe it was a blog that I read. They said that we now live in this microwave world where before the 30 seconds of the dish is done, right? There's 5 seconds left. We press the open button and we take out the dish, right? We're going from meeting to meeting. We're running from place to place. And sometimes we're doing things and we don't even know why we're doing it in the first place. So if you're on this webinar now and you're watching this video, what's the reason of why you want to be a better speaker? We always have to tap into our why, right? It's reasons before results. So I just want to read some of the things that some people are saying. Dawn is saying, and thank you, Dawn, for chiming in, to better represent her companies. And as more coming in, I want to read more of them too, right? What are your reasons before results? I just want to give you one of mine reasons. One of my biggest reasons of, as a speaker coach, I like to improve my speaking almost on a daily basis, is because one is, yes, it's for professional success, but I also want to be the inspiration for you, right? Because you've heard of this before. A lot of people say, if they can do it, I can do it. I want to be the one that speaking always wasn't natural to me, as you'll hear my story later on. But I also want to be the inspiration for you, to show you that you can definitely do it as well. So your speaking growth actually drives my speaking growth. So what are some of your reasons before results? Heather is saying, and thank you, Heather, for chiming in, for my confidence to reflect my knowledge in your topic area. And Stanley is saying to connect better with his audience, right? So what are your reasons before trying to get the results that we're trying to get? So I actually, a little backstory, if you don't know anything about me, this picture that you see, it's pixelated, because this was one of the first pictures that I got of me speaking. This was during my last year of college. and I entered this public speaking competition. Why did I enter this public speaking competition? Because I was a broke college student. Even though I was nervous about speaking, in the diner of the campus, I'm not sure, what college you went to, or maybe your high school experience. In the diner, they have all these posters, and I saw this poster. It says $3,000 for first place in this public speaking competition, and I said, I was thinking, man, I didn't have any jobs lined up. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to become a leader one day, and I wanted to be successful. So I said, okay, I'm going to go and do this public speaking competition. And so that week or two, that whole week, I was up. This was a chapel, as you can see in front of you, or maybe you'll be able to see, but this was a chapel. And I went into that chapel every single night from like 8 p.m. and I stayed till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and I would practice the heck out of my talk. I would practice the body language over and over and over, right? I would do the same hand gestures. I would say, good morning. If I didn't like it, I would say it again. Good morning, everyone. Right? I had the line so memorized, it just flew out of my mouth. So on that day of, something magical happened. I got into the zone with public speaking. I'm not sure. Have you ever gotten into the zone with another area? Maybe sports, right? Or maybe you're writing or you're drawing. Time slowed down, and I felt like I can be myself. I can see the audience nodding, like the words were just flowing because I practiced it so much. But it was the first time I felt like I can be myself. I felt like I can be vulnerable. I felt like I can share my emotions. And this was different for me because coming from an Asian family, at my dinner table, even with my grandmas and cousins and everyone, do you know what we do at the dinner table? We don't talk. The only thing that we usually say is eat more, or we're watching like TV. But we don't really talk. We don't share our emotions. We don't hug each other. We don't say I love you out loud. Ever. I don't think we don't usually say that. So being able to go on stage and be vulnerable, that was the experience that really made me want to become a better speaker and also share that with other people. So that means if you right now want to go from terrified to terrific as a speaker, one, have you felt that experience before? And second, the next time you do speak, do you think you can tap into that experience? Because as you'll see later on, to go from terrified to terrific as a speaker, we have a lot of different public speaking experiences that we have to tap into. And the better that you get as a speaker, the more you'll be able to tap into these experiences. And I have to tell you, if you don't believe in it right now, 99% of the time, or 100% of the time, when I do speak, I feel like I can be myself. I can be vulnerable. Even if I'm nervous, I can still feel like I can share stories that I can be myself. So you want to embrace that part where you are nervous. I'll talk about the nerves later on. But let me ask you, if you're watching live right now, have you ever felt like you've gotten into the zone with public speaking before? Right? It's a magical experience. And even Warren Buffett said, right, improving your public speaking skills will raise your value by 50%. So right now, if you're thinking, should I improve my public speaking? Do I need public speaking? Look, Warren Buffett is dropping a number. It will raise your value by 50% because he said every single time you open your mouth, let it be an asset instead of a liability. So that little moment of public speaking was basically my epiphany moment in public speaking, which drove me to become a speaker coach. I gave talks to the U.S. Coast Guards, gave a TEDx talk. Now I give talks to executives, and I help rising leaders and executives and individuals like yourself become the best that you can be. And that experience is what I would love to have you all experience as well as knowing how to basically flip on a switch and say, yeah, can I be this influential speaker? Right? So some of the interesting facts I wanted to share with you when it comes to public speaking. Did you know that only 8% of those who have public speaking fear seek professional help? Now, why is that, you might ask? A lot of the times when I work with individuals, maybe they're at a higher status, let's say the CEOs or executives, sometimes they don't want others to know. For some reason, some people think of public speaking as, it's not like leadership training where, I have a leadership coach. It could be embarrassing to say that I have a public speaking coach, or maybe they feel like, I can deal with this eventually. If I do more presentations, I'll just get better at it. And most people just try to DIY it, but every single time they do a presentation, it's the same thing. They repeat the same mistakes that they've always been making. There's one thing I want to say to you when it comes to doing more repetitions. Yes, having more speaking opportunities is great, but having more speaking opportunities is not enough to make you a better speaker. Well, what do I mean by that, right? If you are on a bike and if you are you're riding the bike with the same training wheels and it's already too comfortable, you need to be able to take a little risk. So having more speaking opportunities is just not enough to help you become a better speaker. But yes, do seek more opportunities, but you need to take a little bit of risk each time. So fear of public speaking actually cut wages by 10%. So imagine you are working in an organization, or maybe you're an entrepreneur. I know a lot of people, instead of they have a speaking opportunity, the first thought they might have in their mind is, no, I don't want to do it. Can someone else do it? Okay. If you want to be promoted really quick, or maybe you're a leader, you cannot shy away from these opportunities where you can share your knowledge, your thoughts, and your opinions. And if you are an entrepreneur, for example, going live or doing videos like I am now is one of the best ways for people to connect with you. At the end of the day, it's a vehicle. Your public speaking is a vehicle for people to connect with you, for them to build trust and have you like you and build respect for you. So public speaking is just that's why I when you see the stat, public speaking cut wages by 10%, instead of shying away, how can you go for those opportunities? And fear of public speaking inhibits promotion to management by 50%, right? As I was saying earlier, if you see someone who is more successful, you'll probably see them express their knowledge more, or the wisdom, or show that people, this is why my work is important. So one of the differences between someone who's a technical expert and someone who is great at speaking and also is a technical expert, the one who is great at speaking can explain the importance of their work. Okay, a technical expert, you're just good at what you do, but usually it's hard for you to explain why your work is important to others. You also need to put on the hat of, as a speaker, this is why my work is also important. And it's up to you to be able to do that as a speaker. So let's talk about what you'll need to work on to go from terrified to terrific as a speaker. But actually, I just want to actually do a little comparison between terrified and terrific as a speaker. So terrified speakers, right? They tend to avoid speaking situations. They hear they have a speaking situation coming up, they would rather not do it. If there's an opportunity to do a speaking situation, maybe, but maybe not for me, maybe next year. Okay. So how can you think of, okay, how can I not avoid speaking situations? Another reason of why maybe we're in the terrified category is whenever we speak, we don't feel like ourselves. We feel like maybe it's something we have to do. I can't put myself in it, right? Or maybe you're just assuming the worst. Okay, I have a presentation coming up. What if I mess up? Everything's going to go bad. I'm going to lose my job. People are going to hate me, right? We're assuming the worst. When we are living in fear, we're just thinking everything is scary and everything bad is going to happen. We basically get stuck in our heads, right? My yoga teacher said, when we're stuck in our heads, we're dead. So when we are scared and we're terrified, and this is for everyone, not just public speaking situation and any scary situation, we get stuck in our head, we assume the worst, we're not like ourselves, and we want to avoid it. What about a terrific speaker, right? A terrific speaker, they seek speaking opportunities. When they hear of a speaking opportunity, they probably smile internally and say, yeah, I got this, right? They can be authentic and vulnerable. They can be themselves when they are in front of an audience. They embrace the opportunities, right? It's not, okay, what can go wrong? But they actually say, I can learn from this opportunity and make it go really, really well as well. They embrace the mistakes, they embrace the failure moments, and they embrace the opportunities that's in front of them. And most importantly, they're able to be present in the moment. So right now, well, what do I mean by being present in the moment? I know a lot of speakers, even if I'm doing this virtual presentation right now, some people might get so focused, they can't read the chat. Or when something goes wrong, right? They're not in the moment and they can't adapt to what's going on. How can you be able to be in the moment, adapt to what's going on around you instead of being stuck in here? This also happens when you have a lot of information. You're like, okay, what do I have to say next? Yeah, what do I have to say next? When you're stuck in here, you're not here in reality. And I hope you all are liking this presentation and this video so far. Let's keep on moving on. So here are the 5 stages of public speaking growth that you have to understand, and this will correlate with what you'll have to learn as a speaker. I'm going to quickly explain this. You're avoiding first, and then when you're tired of avoiding, you want to basically say, okay, what can I learn? What can I do now to become a better speaker? And then once you start learning, kind of like playing the piano, you take the piano book, you're learning now after you know the certain keys and the chords. Okay, now how can I experiment with what I know? How can I play around, right? So after you start playing around, you know your stuff, then you start branding yourself. When you see speakers who are good speakers, you say, oh, Kit is this way because he has this energy. Oh, Mary is so calm, right? They have a speaking style that they are using to brand themselves, whether they know it or not. They're like, oh, yeah, who's your favorite speaker? Oh, maybe the Dalai Lama because he speaks this way. So as you are continuing your growth as a speaker, you will start branding yourself as a speaker with what you're doing. And also, if you wanted to get into the business side of speaking, there's also that as well. But eventually, you go into the transformative state. You transform yourself, but at the same time, every single time you speak, believe it or not, you are transforming your audience. So today, we're mainly focused on the avoidance stage and the learning stage. So if you are in this stage right now, you have to ask yourself this question: what and why are you avoiding speaking? So if you have a moment, answer that question right now. If you think you are in the stage and you're avoiding speaking opportunities every single time, what are you avoiding? And why are you avoiding it? I'm going to keep on moving on. So the learning stage, right? We have to ask ourselves if we're tired of avoiding now. We first have to be aware. Yes, we are avoiding speaking, right? This is reality. Every single time I have an opportunity to speak, I'm avoiding it, and I'm tired of avoiding it. Now, what do I have to learn? You have to ask yourself, okay, what is it I have to learn to become a better speaker? And I'll get to that in a few slides. And then I'm not going to cover too much with this today, the rest of these things. What are you experimenting with? Okay, the speaking things that you're going to learn. What makes you special? Okay, what's my special sauce when it comes to speaking? And basically, how can I keep on asking the question of how can I help others more? How can I add more value? How can you truly influence others, right? So when it comes to speaking fear, why does it happen? Okay, here are some of the main reasons of why you might have speaking anxiety. No matter your rank, you can be CEO, you can be just starting your job, you can be an entrepreneur that's been in it for a while. The ranking does not matter. This happens to everyone. One is task mastery. So task mastery is an example of basically what I said earlier. If you want to learn how to ride the bicycle, you cannot just read a book on riding a bike. You cannot just look up 500 YouTube videos on riding a bicycle. You're not going to get better if you don't go outside and ride a bike. Now, with task mastery, okay, let's say you also need to put risk into this. You're riding the bicycle, but at the same time, if you're so comfortable already, you're not going to get any better. So with task mastery, you have to ask yourself, how many opportunities am I getting or creating for myself to speak? It could be, doing a live. It could be volunteering for a presentation. It could be leading an event, whatever it is. And am I taking a risk each time? So what do I mean by taking a risk? Maybe you never tell stories. Tell a story at the beginning. Okay, yes, this could be a small risk. Maybe you tend to ramble and you talk too much. Well, maybe you stop talking so much. Yeah, and this is a risk because people who ramble, it feels like if I stop now, maybe I'm not going to get my point across, but this is a small risk. So if you think you're going to ramble, how can I just stop talking and see what other people are doing? So you have to get more speaking opportunities and know what kind of risk that you want to take. This risk should feel unnatural to you at first until you get used to taking this risk. Okay, like again, if I never tell stories, well, why not start with the story first? Or maybe I tell too many stories, then get to the point faster. Okay, another reason of why speaking fear happens is because it's high stakes. In your mind, it's high stakes. But for the rest of the world, it's probably nothing. Okay. Have anyone ever come to you and say, "Oh, hey, Heather, oh man, I'm doing this presentation. I'm so nervous." And you say, "Why are you so nervous? It's only three of us. It's you see us every single day." But to them at that moment, for some reason, maybe it's the people in the room, maybe it's the people online, maybe it's strangers. It's high stakes in this situation. So for you to overcome this high stakes situation, you really have to think about and ask yourself, why? First of all, is this high stakes for me? Am I creating a situation where it's really normal for everyone? But by answering this question, first of all, why is this a high stakes situation? You will be able to relieve that stress and that anxiety that you have just a tiny bit. So another reason of why we have speaking fear is because it's not that you are scared of adrenaline. If you're watching this now, you probably do not know how to handle your adrenaline. Okay. So, what happens when we're scared? Our heart rate beats faster, and usually we stop breathing. We don't feel like we can just take that moment because everything feels like a rush. In your head, it's a rush. You don't know what's going to happen, right? If a burglar were to come into your house right now, you don't know how to react because it happened in the moment. Your heart is pumping, you're not breathing. And when you're not breathing, you're not thinking. I want you to know you actually need to use your adrenaline to help you become a better speaker. Just like athletes, they need to know how to use the adrenaline to help them lift 10 times more, run 10 times faster. It's not that we're scared of adrenaline, we just don't know how to use our adrenaline. So the next time, I want you to notice, maybe you're nervous. This is something that I do often. I manually, if virtually, we can do this better now. Let's say I have this adrenaline rush. I will manually put my hand on my heart and I try to manually slow my heart rate down. Or maybe you have one of those Fitbit things. You can actually see how fast is my heart rate right now, and can I slow it down? I'm going to give you a funny one, okay? The next time you're scared about anything or public speaking, I want you, it's going to be silly, I want you to squeeze your butt. Because here's why. You can't be scared and squeeze your butt at the same time, okay? So, okay, there is a science behind this. When you are, it doesn't have to be your butt, but squeeze your butt. Maybe you're trying that right now. But when you're squeezing a part of your body, maybe you're squeezing your hands, right? It brings you back to the present moment. So if you try this with me, if you're squeezing your hand really hard and then you relax it, you'll want to actually take a breath. So when you are in your head, what you want to do is squeeze your body so it brings you out of your head. So try these just try these few things the next time you feel like, oh, this adrenaline is happening. And last one, this is also it might seem silly to you, but it's true. Speaking fear might also be in your genes. So one day, have you ever heard of the test 23andMe? It's this DNA test online. So my wife took it a few years ago. She wanted to find out if anything bad was happening to her. And then there was this fun section. It also said, you are more likely to like chocolate ice cream over vanilla ice cream, or you are not likely to like basil or not like basil. And then it said, you are more likely to be afraid of public speaking. So I'm like, this is cool. I took the test as well. So this is my result. It says, Kit, based on your genetic and other factors, I am less likely to have a fear of public speaking. Now, of course, take this with a grain of salt. Depends on how you grew up. Depends on the people you're surrounding yourself with. But I do really believe that I had some clients, they just took a little bit longer than other individuals to get over their fear of public speaking. Okay, so get that with a grain of salt, but it's useful to understand as well. So you might be thinking, okay, what now? Maybe I answer the question of what I'm avoiding, or if you did not answer it, write it down in your notebook and answer it later. What and why am I avoiding these speaking situations? Now you may have to ask, okay, what is it we have to learn to become a better speaker? So I'm going to give an example of driving. When you are driving, we actually go through different experiences as a driver. Maybe at the beginning, you're first learning how to drive in an empty parking lot. And do you remember, if you know how to drive, going on the highway Do you remember the first time you go on a highway? I'm talking about the intersection where there is no stop and you have to kind of merge into the highway and the cars just coming. Okay. That's another experience that you went through. Of course, if you want to go from terrified to terrific as a speaker, it doesn't just take one experience, it takes different experiences for your speaking growth. And here's what I mean by different experiences. I really believe these are the speaking experience that will make you become a better speaker. Knowing how to be the confident speaker, the impromptu speaker, the persuasive speaker. I'll explain all of this. The storyteller, the professional speaker, and the influential speaker. So this experience of being a confident speaker is that experience where you can feel like you have been vulnerable and emotional and you in front of a crowd where you were nervous to speak in. Why are these experiences so powerful? Because if you felt them before, you can try to feel them again and you want to basically tap into them again. Okay, so the impromptu speaker, it's knowing how to keep calm under pressure. This experience of being impromptu speaking is knowing how to handle stuff off the cuff, is knowing how to adapt to the situation, right? I'm talking about these experiences when you nailed it or you feel like you nailed it, right? Impromptu speaking situation, I feel like, okay, they're asking me a question, I can nail it, right? It's, if you think of a passport, these are like the stamps that you want to get. The persuasive speaker is basically that experience where you can feel like people are saying yes to me and I know exactly what I did to get them to yes. Maybe it's the way you structured your presentation. Maybe it's the way you deliver with your body language, right? The storyteller is having people come up to you and say, wow, Heather, John, Peter, your story was amazing. You made me feel this way about life now by sharing your story. Okay, they are saying stuff to you because of the story that you shared. The professional speaker, and what I mean by this is knowing how to sell yourself, knowing how to brand yourself, knowing how to create demand for you as the speaker, whether you're working in an organization and you're going for a job interview, you're being promoted, or whether you're an entrepreneur, knowing how to say, yeah, this is who I am, this is my credibility, and knowing how to create demand for yourself. And the influential speaker is basically you inspire others because of, I will usually say the influential speaker is a mix of all of them. You'll be able to influence others because of who you are and what you say. So I want you to know all of the techniques and all of these experiences is kind of in me right now. It's kind of, these are the ingredients of baking a cake. And you feel like every single time you speak, you can tap into every single one of these. Like right now, yeah, because I have felt how it was or how it felt like to become a good impromptu speaker. I can say, hey, why don't some of you drop something into the chat now? I will read it. For some people, if they don't feel like they can be impromptu, they will not be able to read the chat, go on Zoom, do other stuff that's happening around them, right? So these are all different experiences for you to tap into. Can I ask you, when I'm talking about these experiences, what experience do you think that you have not tapped into yet? I want to know. Let me know in the chat. So here are the 6 core areas that matter most to your speaking success. And these are the things that will help you get into those experiences more. Okay, I want you to write this down. Mindset is how you think. Are you reflecting as a speaker? And all of these 6 core areas is kind of like if you're working out, it could be, oh yeah, I'm working out on my arms. I'm working out on my legs. Most people, when it comes to public speaking, they don't know what to work on. So take these areas, you can focus down a little bit more. Mindset, how you think. Am I reflecting as a speaker? How am I doing as a speaker? Am I taking the time to speak with confidence? There's one thing I want to say about the mindset. They say the lion is the king of the jungle. Now, why is that? Why is the lion the king of the jungle? They're not the strongest. They're not the biggest. They're not the fastest. They're not even the most pretty looking animal out there, right? But when an elephant sees a lion, the elephant is going to think, oh, there's a lion. Back away. I'm going to go away. But here's the thing. When the lion sees an elephant, the lion is going to think, I'm going to eat that elephant. You see, the lion is the king of the jungle because he or she, okay, has that mindset of confidence. So what is your mindset right now? So here's an example. When you see a public speaking situation, are you thinking, I'm going to make public speaking afraid of me, not the other way around. Okay. So most people, they will think, oh, there's a public speaking situation. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to do bad. No, you have to switch it around. What is your mindset like as a speaker? The next area that you want to think about is mission. So what do I mean by mission? How persuasive are you? How influential are you? Right? How you get others to believe and take action? So whenever you speak, this could be a meeting, this could be on a one-on-one client talk, this could be a public speaking situation. Are people believing in what you're saying? And most importantly, are they taking action on what you said? Not because of your positional power. It's not because of your CEO that they'll say yes, but because of how you speak and how you're influencing them, right? Is there a greater message, a greater purpose that you're inspiring them to take action on? And then next, it's map. How you organize and plan what you say. Now, some of you, you don't plan, you just wing everything. Okay. I know I'm like that too sometimes. If you know that if you took the time to plan, you scheduled in your calendar, you wrote out your message, and you took maybe just once to practice your message, it's going to become 100 times better. Okay. Taking the time to map out your message and map out your delivery and practice. And then we have matter. It's what you say. So when I say what you say, it's also adapting to your audience. It's now this is very important, right? If you're cooking, I want you to understand, if you're cooking for a vegan, would you cook them a hamburger? You're gonna say, no, silly, they're vegan. I can't cook them meat. But usually when we speak, we have this one speaking style, and we tend to think, if you don't like my speaking style, it doesn't matter because that's the way I talk. Well, if you said that to a vegan, well, you're vegan, it doesn't matter. I like hamburgers. Eat this hamburger, okay? You're going to fail as a communicator. So the next thing is your manner. This is your delivery. This is your body language. This is your eye contact. This is being memorable on stage. Have you ever spoken or seen a speaker when they step on stage or the virtual stage? They're like, wow, they have a great presence, right? This is also your eye contact right now on virtual side of things. Your eye contact is the new, I'm sorry, your camera is the new eye contact. So this is also your body language and all of these things. And lastly, you want to work on medium. So medium is your communication channel. Most people are freaking out because I have to go on Zoom, I have to use this, I have to use that. They're not used to it. And so if you are not used to the tech side of things, you will, one, not feel like yourself. You will feel, some people say, yeah, I'm great in person, but virtually, I'm not as good at it. Why? Because of the technology side of things, okay? So all of these different areas these are the 6 core areas that will matter most to your speaking success. I want to talk about the biggest mistake that people are making as speakers and presenters. Now, what is this image? Is she looking at herself or is she looking outside? Because the biggest mistake that we are making as speakers is that too often we're looking at the mirror and we're looking back at all the mistakes and faults and all the negative things that we are doing. We're looking at the mirror and saying, I have this pimple. I'm doing so bad. I can't tell stories. I'm boring. I have a fear of public speaking. But we sometimes need to look through the window, because at the end of the day, it's not about you, it's about your audience. Because the quality, your life depends on the quality of the questions that you ask. So if we tend to look at the mirror, the questions that we tend to ask will probably be, how can I do this? Why am I so bad? Why can't I do this? In reality, your audience will probably never ask these things. I mean, are you here on this webinar, on this video right now? Have you ever asked or even thought, how many times will Kit say the word How many filler words is he saying? How many times is he going to mess up? I wonder that kid, how many times is he not breathing, right? How many times is he going to fail something? You're probably never going to ask that. Maybe that never even occurred in your mind. But if you actually watch the replay of this video, I said a lot of filler words, okay? Now again, I'm not saying it's good to ask yourself of what do I need to improve upon, but you also need to start asking more questions of, how can Stanley gain from this video today? How can Dawn gain from this? Elaine, What's in it for you today? Okay, so instead of looking at the mirror so much, you want to look through the window, because the quality of your life, again, depends on the quality of questions that you ask. So the next time you go to a meeting, yeah, you could be asking, what do I want to get out of this meeting? Another question you might ask, and might be better, is what can my audience gain from this meeting, and what can be the most valuable for their time today? Okay, so start asking these questions, and it's going to actually switch the way that you speak super quick. So again, one of the biggest mistakes is that we tend to look at ourselves a lot as a speaker, and we tend to forget the audience, because here is actually the transformation. When we are avoiding it's all about us. But as you become more of an influential speaker, it starts becoming all about your audience. I want you to see that mindset shift, right? It's that question shift. Well, what am I doing bad as a speaker? Even the best speakers, they will even take what they're doing bad and make it a learning lesson for their audience. So I want you to notice, you need to start shifting this question as soon as you can. Of course, just keep asking what I need to improve on, but ask more about your audience. So here are some new questions to start asking. What does my audience want? What are they saying that they want? How can I make this easier for my audience to understand? How can I make this more understandable? How can I make this more memorable? Be like Amazon. You can just click once and you can buy the thing that you want to buy. Now, they made it so easy for you. It doesn't even take work on your side, right? At the end of this speaking situation, what will my audience be thrilled with? Once you start asking these questions more, you'll add more and more and more value to your audience at the end of the day. This is a very important question I want to ask. How do you think we can win as speakers? Do not take this question lightly, because everything will be wrapped around this one question. How do you think we can win as speakers? So what do I mean by that? If I put this person up, who is this person? We have Michael Jordan. Can I ask you, if you're watching this live or watching a replay of this, what's the number one main job as a basketball player? How do they win? If there was one thing, what's the number one main job as basketball players? What would you say? I would love to see in the comments. And this is a documentary. My wife watched it. I did not watch this yet. It's The Last Dance, a 10-part documentary event on Michael Jordan. Okay, so most people will actually say, okay, the number one job of a basketball player is to put more more basketballs into the basket, right? That's it. You need to get more points than the other people. Now, I want to turn this back to speaking. What's the number one job as a speaker? Now, this is where it gets confusing, because there is no one certain answer about, okay, how do I win as a speaker, right? A doctor, what's the number one job as a doctor? To save people. Okay, what about a speaker? What's the number one job as a speaker? I want you to notice, like a basketball player, everything that they are doing is helping them serve their number one job, right? Defense, knowing how to dribble the ball, knowing how to work with the team, is to, at the end of the day, okay, get more balls into the basket. The number one main job as a speaker is to help the audience make a decision that would benefit them. Because another thing that we do too much is we present a lot of information first, like they already believe in the information. We think they need it. But at the end of the day, this is kind of saying, maybe you have a significant other. If they are really asking you for your advice, they just want to make a decision. Even all the information and knowledge that you give them, they might say, no, I don't want your stuff. I don't want your stuff. You have to be the speaker that helps your audience make a decision that would, of course, that would benefit them. All your speaking, for example, what I'm doing now, there are a few decisions I want you to make. One is, public speaking is really important to me, and I have to work on this. Right? Maybe the next decision is I have to really take action on my public speaking. Let me give another example. Have anyone came up to you and said, John, Heather, can I pick your brain for a second? And you're like, yeah, sure, yeah. You give them the book, you give them an hour, you give them all the bullet points, and then they're like, oh yeah, thank you. And then 6 months later, you see this person again, and you say, hey, Elaine, did you take action on what I said? And they said, no, I decided to go on another path. You see, you can give them all the information that you want, but if they did not decide to do anything with your information, at the end of the day, they don't remember it, they're not using it. It's kind of like a book sitting on your shelf. It's just sitting there doing nothing. So you want to be able to help your audience make a decision with what you are, speaking on at the end of the day. Because right now we're informing too much versus helping people make a decision to act on the information. This is a big one that we're doing right now. Again, so you might be asking, okay, what if I have a weekly meeting and I have to present information? I have to present the research or whatever it is. I want you to notice. Let's say a traffic light, red, yellow, or green. Red is stop, yellow is tread carefully, green is go. What's the point of your information and your research? There needs to be an easy decision. Well, at the end of this meeting, this research is telling us to stop. Okay, that's the decision, to stop whatever we're doing because this research or this information is telling us it's no good. Or actually, based on the updates, I want us to know that we're doing really good. So let's keep on doing what we're doing. Or actually, based on this information or update, we need to go on this route. This is the direction we need to go on. Okay, so we present too much information versus helping people make a decision to act on the information. If they don't know what to act on at the end of the day, well, then it's our fault because we got too much into information land and we don't know, our audience don't even know the takeaway at the end of the day. Okay, so let's talk about strategies to help you ease your speaking anxiety and speak like a pro. I'm going to explain this first and I want to go through it. This is the speak system. The next time you might feel anxiety, think of these things. Let me explain this first. Get into a good state of mind, make your body bigger, know how to sustain your energy, avoid distractions, and yes, the K stands for connect. You want to speak to one person at a time. So get into your space. Whenever you are going into a meeting, a speaking situation, how can you get into your space mentally and physically, right? You have time to prepare. Maybe you can take a walk. Maybe you can meditate. Maybe you can have something like on a book right in front of you or a sticky note that says breathe or be calm or strong or whatever it is. How can you get into your space? For me, I like to meditate. I will take 5 to 10 minutes to meditate before I do a speaking event. The next thing, posture. And you want to keep on thinking of these things, okay? How can you make your body language bigger? Like two animals fighting, what are they going to do? Even though they're scared, they make their body language a little bit bigger. So the next time you start speaking, this is when you start speaking, how can you make your body language a little bit bigger? A little bit bigger than you usually do, okay? You don't have to go like that big. Maybe you're pointing to the camera. Maybe you're just maybe you're sitting upright. So the better and bigger you make your body language, you will trick your mind into becoming, oh yeah, it feels good. And then E stands for sustain your energy. I want you to notice, I've been talking the whole time. If I don't say anything, and if no one is chatting, it's going to be silent. When it comes to virtual communication or in person, usually maybe we start out strong and then we lose our energy because no one's talking, no one's answering my questions, and then we start playing mind game. No, you cannot do that. You need to sustain your energy. Here's another example. Even if I'm a host of an MC, you know how some people have to say, okay, let's talk about the social media. No, the best MCs, you know what they do? They're promoting, but they make it sound so energetic and so exciting. They're talking about going on Facebook. Man, I should go on Facebook and join this because it sounds so exciting. Sometimes the rookie mistakes of, let's say, being an event host, oh, I have to talk about this. So therefore, I'll just mention it. Have you ever felt that way when it comes to your presentations? Oh, I have to, but I have to talk about it. Therefore, I'll put it on a slide. I feel nothing about it. I just have to say it. Here it is. Go look at it, okay? So you want to sustain your energy at the end of the day. And then A stands for avoid, because you want to ignore the distractions. Not as in the chat or the distractions, as in mentally, how are you feeling, right? Maybe it's, okay, that person's making a face. Why are they making that face? or they're saying bad stuff about me. Avoid the distractions that's going to help you spiral. That's not going to help you become a confident speaker, and it's going to make you spiral into all these different things. And then K, you want to connect. Think of speaking to one audience member at a time. This is virtually or in person. I want you to notice when I'm speaking now, I'm looking at your names because I'm like, okay, Luann, I'm talking to you. Stanley, I'm talking to you. Elaine, I'm talking to you, right? Because on your side, there's only one of you speaking. And actually, I'm talking to one camera. So imagine you're talking to one person because it is a conversation at the end of the day. So think of all these things. The next time you do speak, use the speak system. Now, you might be thinking, okay, why do most people fail to progress as speakers? Okay, maybe you weren't thinking this, but after being a speaker coach for a while, I know right now you might be amped up, you might be writing notes down, but to guarantee success, here are the reasons why I think most people just fail to progress as speakers. And if you include these elements in your life, it's going to be very hard to fail. Number one is they don't have enough opportunities and they don't take enough risk. They're too comfortable. They don't volunteer to speak. They do the same thing over and over again, okay? You need to be able to find opportunities and take risk each time. Second, they don't have a system. Imagine you're learning how to play the guitar and someone said, here's a guitar. Play a song out of it. You're going to say, yeah, you might make some funny sounds, but you don't know how to do it, right? You want to basically get a guitar book because people have done this already. This is not new. Maybe it's new to you and you think, oh, it's impossible. But there are systems out there. You are failing because you have no system to replicate. Imagine baking a cake for the first time and you don't have a recipe, right? Third, you have no accountability. Yeah, you might be amped up right now, but then Monday comes, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're like, oh man, it's Thursday. I'm tired. Maybe I'll do this later, right? How can you build in accountability? You can have a coach, you can have a friend, you can have alerts on your phone. How can you build that accountability so you can say, yeah, I got to do this again. I need to give myself a kick in the butt. What's my kick in the butt? And fourth, you don't have a coach. Imagine you're learning how to play the guitar and you have a coach right in front of you. You're going to learn the guitar 5 times, 10 times faster because why? The coach are probably coaching everyone else on the same thing and they can spot your weaknesses. They can spot your improvement areas. This is why, especially, I'm relating back to fitness. Like sometimes I remember I used to be a dancer. But I used to be in this contemporary dance class, and the teacher said, Kit, did you know your knees were going in? I'm like, my knees are not going in. What are you talking about? My knees are going in. And then I saw myself on video. My knee was going in. Now, I've been dancing for like a bunch of years now, and I never noticed my knees were going. And this was a huge, huge fix for my posture and for the way I'm doing things. And it's the same thing with the speaking. Yes, we've been speaking for our whole lifetime, but usually we do not get to pick up the weakness spots that we have. When you have a coach right in front of you, they'll be able to spot your weaknesses and say, okay, yeah, do that. Don't do that. Yeah, I see you're doing that. Did you know or not? Are you aware of you doing that, right? So most people fail because you don't have enough opportunities and taking enough risk. You don't have a system. You don't have accountability, and you don't have someone there to help you. So actually, how would life be different if you can speak with more confidence and influence? And if you're live right now, type that into the chat, because if you don't know your reasons before your results, right? If you can't imagine a future, right? How will life be different if you can speak with more confidence and influence? I would love to hear in the chat below. For example, some people might say, I can be myself. Whenever I'm going into a meeting, I don't have to hold back. I found my voice. I can speak like myself in any area. Or another person might be saying, if I can speak with more confidence and influence, I'll be able to boost my career. I'll be able to make more money because it feels like as a speaker, I can just turn it on and switch it on like that, right? This reminds me, my wife and I, we were watching Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, and basically she just got her witch powers, and it feels like she can just switch it on, right? And it feels like whatever she's doing is magical and it's working. Imagine you were speaking with confidence and influence. It could feel, right now, you might not believe it, but people every single day, they give a presentation and people say, yeah, I want to follow you. Yeah, I believe in what you're saying. And then maybe you don't even believe that you can speak with confidence, right? That is a game changer, not just in your professional life, but also in your personal life, of how you handle yourself, of how you think about yourself. Have a great day, everyone. Take care now.